Welcome to the Qatar National Convention Center. Your safety and comfort are very important to us. With this in mind, we ask that you take a moment to watch this short safety presentation. Emergency exits are located throughout the venue and are easily identified by illuminated green and white exit signs. Please now take a moment to locate your nearest emergency exit. Remember, the nearest exit may be located behind you. For your safety, please keep all aisles and exit paths clear at all times. In the unlikely event of an emergency alarm, a flashing warning light will be activated. Please remain calm and listen for further instructions. If you are required to evacuate the building, an announcement will be made in both English and Arabic. In the event of an emergency evacuation, please move swiftly to the nearest emergency exit. Some venues, such as the theatre and auditoria, have illuminated escape path lighting to guide you to the nearest emergency exits. Please follow the instructions given by the fully trained QNCC staff and move quickly to the nearest emergency exit, following the signs until you are outside the building. Once outside, you will be directed to the nearest assembly point where you will receive further instructions. If you discover a fire, please raise the alarm using a manual call point. This will immediately activate the emergency evacuation sequence. All alarms will be responded to by the QNCC team. If you require first aid assistance, please approach a member of the QNCC team. QNCC is a non-smoking venue, and smoking is not permitted at any time in any part of the venue. Should you wish to smoke, please use the designated smoking areas which are located outside the building. Thank you for watching. On behalf of all of us at Qatar National Convention Center, we hope you enjoy a safe and memorable visit.
Distinguished guests, members of the research community, ladies and gentlemen and fellow colleagues, good morning, assalamu alaikum, and may peace be with you. I am David Moore, Qatar National Research Fund. I'll be your MC for this morning. And welcome to the 8th QNRF Annual Forum. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Abdul Sattar Altai, Executive Director of QNRF, to the podium for the opening speech.
Thank you, David. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, member of the research community, both in Doha and those across the globe who have been joining us for the online streaming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to QNRF 8th Annual Forum. For us, 2016 is a very special year, as it represents the 10th anniversary for the establishment of QNRF. And hence, I found it's very fitting to choose the title QNRF 10 Years of Achievement. Also, what makes our forum this year unique is its merge or integration with the ARC 16, the Annual Research Conference 2016. Which is timely also for, from this perspective, as QNRF is really is funding the majority of the research papers presented in this conference. I was told we have around 400 papers that were generated from QNRF funding in this conference. Let me start by telling you the story of QNRF, and let me start by this inspiring words of His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, the Father Amir, and if we may have the video, please.
نحن سعداء وفخورون لأننا قد نجحنا في جعل خططنا مستديمة المدى لا ترتهن بتقلبات أسعار المواد الهيدروكربونية، وهذا ما يؤكد بأن تأسيسنا للصندوق القطري لرعاية البحث العلمي كان اختياراً ضرورياً، حيث أن وقفيته ستؤمن الموارد الضرورية لتنفيذ المشاريع.
Indeed, these are the foresight of the Father Amir was since then he even was foreseeing the decline in the oil prices and how we should accommodate that, and it's really giving us the inspiration to not rely on the hydrocarbon resources per se. So how was QNRF jump-started? Back in 2000, actually started 2003 when Her Highness tasked the Qatar Policy Institute to prepare a study about the establishment of a funding agency in Qatar to complement the previous work in the establishment of the Education City and also the QSTP. And RAND published their first report in April 2004. And then there was a very important event. A lot of you, or some of you might remember it, but a lot of you might not have heard of it. It's called Intelligentsia Qatar, IQ Qatar 2006. That was actually the founding conference of the Arab Expatriate Scientists. And I had the privilege to be invited then, and then also in April 2006, there was this directive from Her Highness to establish the QNRF steering committee. So the startup team arrived, and you can see I marked the three startup members who arrived then, and we all worked under the leadership of Dr. Amir al-Saadi, who was the advisor research to Her Highness at that time. So, how did we take vision to reality? We had a strategic goal, which is to establish a world-class funding agency, but what were our tactics? What we did actually, the tactics which we adopted was that we think outside the box. We don't mimic any other funding agency. We did have the advice that, look guys, this is a horrendous job. You should go and get contract with NSF, NIH, or whatever. They can help you, and then you learn, and then you can be a QNRF. We didn't go for that. Very other important strategic decision which we took, that we wanted to go paperless right from the beginning, and this is an added challenge, as you all might realize. And what we had in the back of our mind was the revival of the Arab Renaissance, because really it's about time for the region to really take its role in technology and in knowledge production, because we've been consumers of technology for a long decades. And we had another very important sort of tactic, and that we said we should rely on our in-house, our own in-house efforts, rather than outsource the many things that we needed to establish. And guess what? In October, only in October, remember that we arrived around July, and we didn't even have offices then. So we decided to approach the thing in a way that we don't want to go systematic. We recruit, we establish policies and procedures, and then have nice headquarters, and then we interject with funding agencies, and then we come with designs of programs and so on. No, we took it our way, and so we launched the Europe first cycle immediately. That was a few months after we arrived in October 2006. And as you can see from this banner, we didn't even have our own logo at that time. And just to show you how things moved, how we expedited things. We were ready for signing the MOU, and most of you know the issues related to legalities and negotiations. That was done in this also very short time from the completion of that cycle. So it was in March 2007. Then then immediately in April, a few months later also, we launched the MPRP first cycle. That was the inaugural sort of public presentation. I acted at that time as the MPRP program manager. We didn't have Noor at that time, so I was the program manager for the MPRP. And you can see a new member joined us over there. His name is Mahmoud Talat. Actually, Mahmoud had a pivotal role in the establishment of the infrastructure that needed, and he was very important for us because he accepted the spirit that we should go paperless right from the beginning. We need to do so many things in-house, and against the advice of many, we did it. But then Mahmoud joined us actually in November 2007. Then you can imagine that when we launched the first cycle, we went to March 2008, and we started signing the MOUs. It might sound very, the fund management agreement. It might sound very simple, what is fund management agreement? But imagine that QNRF had to negotiate all the legal. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Mr. Faisal Aswadi, President of R&D. Thank you, Mr. Faisal, for your attendance. So it was only in a short time we launched, after launching the MPRP first cycle, we started signing the fund management agreements. The fund management agreements, some of the colleagues from the education city, even Qatar University, that was a long-winded battle to agree on terms and conditions. So you can see the way we were expediting things. So now QNRF coming of age. That from that little seed that was planted in early 2003, then came to, it was seeded in 2006. We grew up to this really beautiful, colorful tree. The tree leaves represents all the fields of science that QNRF is entrusted with funding. Just to give you comparison from personal perspective, when we arrived to Doha, that was my son Hamza. He was only 8 years old, and he grew to this handsome young man, if I may say so. So, coming in age, first thing, we were doing, I always remember Dr. Nabil metaphor. He said, he used to tell me that, Dr. Abdel Sattar, now we need to build the road, actually start manufacturing the car. We need to build the road and then learn to drive. And we had to do all these things simultaneously. And that was the spirit of the establishment of QNRF. So we didn't wait till we had the staffing all on board. We started growing slowly but surely. And that's how we ended up to, now we are around 61 staff members at QNRF. That's some photos for our previous fora. Then when we started with the pilot projects with the Europe and then the MPRP first cycle, we started expanding in our portfolio, program funding portfolio. And we started from the capacity building, And we had because our mandate is to fund research at all levels, from school kids to renowned scientists. So we had the Europe as a pilot project, then we added to it the CESRIP and the capacity building, and then for the competitive funding, besides the MPRP, we added MPRP, EP later on, and then the Junior Scientist Research Experience Program. And then we also had the research connection activities, like the conference, workshop, sponsorship program. Then, 2012, QNRF really changed gear, and it went into phase 2. Phase 2 marked the QNRS, the release of QNRS 2012. So QNRF really restructured itself to align with the QNRS, and our funding portfolio started growing. So now we are addressing research at the K-12 level. Then besides Europe, we added the Graduate Students Research Awards. Then we had the Postgraduate Research Awards. And then we had the Early Career Research Award that's frozen now. And then we have the other activity related to training. And with regards to the funding program, we started growing, and we had some co-funding opportunities with NIH, with the USRA, with DIFI, and also we started addressing some of the themes of the grand challenges. We went also to the PPM, and also we established some international relationship with funding agencies and platforms like Belmont. And also with regards to the links, we grew up to many of the activities. So how did we build the ecosystem? You know, people might think to the funding agency very in a simplistic manner. What is it? You submit a proposal, you do the marking, then you announce the results like any other teacher or faculty member. In reality, it is not like that. So here you go. These are all the things which we had to really build diligently, and that really constitute the ecosystem that QNRF generated over the years. Then we went to the website. This is one of the things that, when we first came, people told us, look, website is a taboo, don't go for it. And there's where Mahmoud and his team joined in. And we managed to get the first version of our website in 2007, actually in February 2007. Then we used the PHP technology with the web content management system, and now we are using the most up-to-date technology, as most of you have seen, is the new technology. Then the website visibility. We drew some statistics from the visibility of QNRF. We had around 175,000 sessions last year on QNRF website. This is the other thing which correlates to the going, we wanted to go paper. IT solution, integrated IT solutions. And most of you now are aware about what's happening in our new Q grant, which it is really using the latest state of technology, and we have all the available dashboards at all levels, at the applicant level, at the institution level, at our staff level, even we can make it at the national level. And as for connecting researchers, really we had, through the conference workshop program, we sponsored so many events, and really that made great connection to the research community in Qatar. Also, we supported the Challenge 22. Really, it was a very important initiative, and we linked up with them, and they launched their first program. And also we had the ongoing link with the UK and the British Council, and we are organizing many joint activities. So what are our achievements? What have we achieved so far? So if you look at this table, it sums up for QNRF programs. We had an excess of received in excess of 8,500 proposals submitted, awarded around 2,300, and the amount committed so far is around committed, that's not actually expended, approaching to $1 billion US. However, the success rate, overall success rate, is around 26%, and we of course, there will be some announcements with the question marks that will be dealt with by Noor later on in her presentation. This is a quick sort of information about the distribution of the major recipients of our MPRP funding. Of course, Qatar University being the national university, the biggest university, so they are receiving 41% of our funding. Followed by Tamuk, Qatar receiving 24%, and Weill Cornell number 3, 11. And the great thing, you know, to see HMC receiving around 8%, considering when we started they were only service providers. Building human capital inside Qatar, because that was really the main objective also of the QNRF in phase 1. So as you can see, we had supported more than 2,600 undergraduate students, more than 1,000 graduate students, 1,100 postdoc, and around 2,100 key investigators. That's a lot, really, for Qatar. But then, in addition to these figures, we also provided the opportunity for the recruitment of the supporting staff, like lab technicians, research assistants, research associates. Creating research culture, you know, because that was one of our objectives. So how do we reflect that? How is this reflected? We cannot say, you know, we have created research culture. It should reflect on certain KPIs or parameters. Look at that. The announcement of the most international university in the world in 2016. That was for Qatar University. That was great achievement. And the other big achievement for Qatar University moved hundreds of places, and now it is within the 500 ranking in Shanghai ranking or QS ranking. The other very important impact, Texas A&M Qatar was selected the best MENA university last year. As I mentioned, Hamad now, if you look at Hamad's HMC's logo, they added education and they added research. This is great because now we are involving our stakeholders in doing research, and you've seen the percentage, which is really appreciable. For international partners or partnerships, we provided the opportunity for our researchers to partner with more than 590 collaborative institutions coming from 50 countries worldwide. And that's why, you know, you see in the streaming, many people are watching this presentation or this session because they are also eager to see the outcome of their collaboration. going into the scientific output, this is one of the sort of low-hanging fruit in any research. But you can see that QNRF really made huge impact. You see the surge in publication, and also this is the distribution of the publications. And it's not only about quantity of publication, but rather the quality as reflected in this slide, that we have the average field-weighted citation is 85% higher than the world average. This is big achievement for Qatari researchers. And also there's another figure, but that's by civil analysis, really, it's not us. So we have 25% of our sponsored publication in the top 10% of the world most cited publications. So quality and quantity, I stress that. This graph also showing you how QNRF is doing with international collaboration. So we have high share of international collaboration. This is synergy, really. This is how we are building capacity in Qatar. Talking about impact, this is a study done for QNRF by RAND, and this is where QNRF is at this stage. You see, as Her Highness pointed out in her plenary or in her opening speech, it's a slow process. It's not happening tomorrow that we will go into knowledge-based economy. It takes a long time. However, already we are having the direct economic multiplier effect. We are having the scientific output, as I have indicated. And then in the long run, I think even you can align this to the 2030 vision of Qatar 20 vision. And we hope that we will be moving into that zone when we rely on our resources. The reason I showed you that S-curve or sort of curve, a slide, to show you that invention disclosure and IP is a slow process. It takes long time, much longer time. But I can assure you it is there in the pipeline. It will be coming in due time, and this is the reported figure from our IPTT colleagues. What really for QNRF, we stick to our very important values, and these are, these values really, I think we cherished and we protected in such a way that really made the QNRF in its position now, as it stands now, with transparency. Most of you know QNRF. We are transparent. We don't give any favoritism. We comply by conflict of interest, non-disclosure, IRBs, etc. We also believe in equal opportunity. If we give an opportunity to somebody, to a researcher or an institution, we will give it to everybody else, and that's very important. Learn to improve. All of you, one of the real important tools that we use to improve QNRF performance and is we always listen to you. We are good listeners, and we take the lessons learned and we incorporate them in our program. I hope for the last one, we are committed to excellence, and I appreciate, I think you would tend to agree with me in this regard. So the way forward for QNRF. So heading to a new phase, QNRF will focus on optimizing resources. And you know that really this is a very important exercise for all of us. We will be funding research of comparative advantage to Qatar. We will be encouraging innovative research. As you've seen, there are the two very important chains. We have the research and innovation, and we need to link up because this is how we move into generating spin-out companies and moving to a knowledge-based economy. Then we are enhancing the industry involvement in research. This is a big it's been a big challenge and remained a big challenge. And I hope that with the support of our leadership, we will get the industry or the industrial stakeholders on board. We will be promoting joint funding program initiatives. But most importantly, that we will be moving from the predominantly investigator-driven research to increasingly mission-driven research. This is very important because this is phase, I call it even phase 3. We need to really focus on the specific requirements of Qatar to the hotspot technology, to the niche areas that related to Qatar needs. If you allow me, I will give you this little nostalgic journey with time, and you will see some glimpse of QNRF history. And to some of us, really, it's not coming of age, it's going of age. But allow me to start with this, please. And so now it only remains for me to thank everyone who has been involved in the success of QNRF. First and outmost, I would like to extend a deep appreciation and a special thanks to Her Highness Sheikh Hamouza bint Nasser, Chairperson of Qatar Foundation, for her enduring vision in creating QNRF. Next, Mr. Faisal al-Suwaidi for his leadership, his continued guidance, and putting together the roadmap for the research in Qatar. Dr. Hamad Al-Ibrahim for his trust and unwavering support of QNRF. And last but not least, I would like to say a special thank you to each and every one of the hard-working QNRF staff, without whom we would not be where we are today. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Sattar. 10 years seems like 10 minutes. Seems time travel really is possible. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Abdul Nasser Al-Ansari, Deputy Executive Director, QNRF, to the stage for the second presentation. Dr. Abdul Nasser.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My colleagues and I would like to spend with you about 1 hour or so to give you an overview of QNRF's portfolio analysis from QNRF perspective and point of view. Before I start my portion of the session, I would like to call and introduce them to you one Director, Technical Energy and Environment. Followed by Dr. Thana Khurshid, Director, Technical, Biomedical and Health. Dr. Munir Tag, Director, Technical, ICT, Computer Science. And finally, Dr. Michael Rixolak, Director, Technical, Social Sciences, Arts and Humanities. The Qatar National Research Strategy, QNRS. Before talking about giving an overview of QNRS and its evolution, I thought maybe I would like to mention and point out important elements of an R&D ecosystem in Qatar that we have. We have the R&D custodian, QNRS custodian, under the leadership of QF Research and Development in QF. We also have the funding arms and funding instrument and technology park funding such as QNRF and the QSTP. We have education cities, 13 branches, HBKU University, and the research institutes. And finally, we have the national universities, hospitals, oils and gases. So we do in Qatar have important elements. It's a nascent, but yet important elements of an ecosystem is really been formed here. And therefore, we decided in 2012, it is time to form a strategy. And hence, QNRS was born. QNRS is a tool developed to guide investment toward Qatar's national interest. It is developed by QF R&D, starting from the vision of Qatar, that is QNV 2030, and of course in consultation with relevant and key stakeholder and policymaker, with the vision in mind for Qatar to be an international center for research and development excellence and innovation. And this is really the vision of QFR. ND. As Mr. Faisal al-Suwaidi mentioned many times, QNRS is a living document to be revisited and refreshed annually. And indeed, since then, we always looked at it and update it in the following year. This vision implies 3 criteria for planning: R&D investments, that is the need. Research investment should reflect national interest. The investment should be aligned with Qatar, with the QNRS. Capacity, the agenda should reflect Qatar's ability to contribute to the development of a human capacity and infrastructure. And impact, research investment should be linked to the strategic goals of Qatar. And in 2012, an umbrella of 4 science pillars and 1 R&D pillar defining goals and objectives to focus investment on R&D needed to fulfill the national vision. QNRS had 20 goals and 75 objectives, all displayed spread out. Defining governance and setting standards for development capabilities and capacities across Qatar. For the energy environments, we have 7 goals, 16 objectives that draw on Qatar's comparative advantage and future ambitions. For ICT, we got 5 goals and 11 objectives to enable the foundation of digital economies. And for health, 2 goals, very important 2 goals, and 20 objectives that address local challenges and needs and build enabling infrastructure in health. And finally, in social sciences, art and humanity, we got 4 goals and 16 objectives that supports policy, society, and culture. In 2013, the Grand Challenge was formed through a series of about 50 individual interviews with stakeholders and 4 thematic work. Grand challenges were formed. The purpose of these was to identify ideas for R&D grand challenges. 12 potential grand challenges were identified at the time in 2013 that are important to Qatar, and it was listed that we would focus on 3 of them. That is energy security, water security, and cyber security. Those were challenges that we were to address immediately. And in 2014, looking back at the strategy and updating it, the QNRS 2014 was formed. It's a mission-driven planning for institutional R&D, conducted in consultation, of course, again, with key stakeholders that assigned Q Institute to serve as champions for achieving the grand challenges. And that is why the water securities, which is to concentrate on desalination and water reused, was assigned to KIRI. Similarly, the energy security, to deploy solar energy on the grid. To find technologies to protect the critical cyber infrastructures. Healthcare, assigned to Qatar Biomedical Research Institute, QBRI, to find plans to tackle cancer, diabetes, and neurological diseases. The implementation, all of us here are responsible to implement the strategy. The Qatar's R&D entities that are researchers, academic, and institutes will help implement the QNRS. QNRS define the research objectives based on national priorities. We have the enablers, QNRF, to enable the research community to conduct research. We have us, the research the R&D entities, to conduct research and contribute to the objectives. And we have QSTP, Qatar Science Technology Park, to facilitate innovation and innovation and transition of ideas to market. QF R&D will always monitor and evaluate the research portfolio. And for that, developed a framework for monitoring the R&D portfolio based on QNRS. We will look at input. Input are the fund, such as funding programs, output, such as publications, partnership and conferences, and outcome, such as patents, technology taken to the market, and impact. Success stories are important, such as the one we will be introducing today in later sessions. This is a glimpse of a general portfolio of QNRF award project based on QNRS objectives. it shows a distribution of the number of projects based on the MPRP and the amount of investment spent across all the 4 pillars of the strategy. I will not go into details, just giving you a flavor here. My colleagues next will be talking more specifically about each pillar. And for energy and environment, I'd like to introduce Dr. Philip to talk about the portfolio. Please welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to present you some facts and figures and some thoughts for the way forward on energy and environment. So, Dr. Abdul Nasser just presented you QNRF, Qatar National Research Strategy, which is our main reference document and our main framework for strategy, and it is our main guideline to define our way of action. QNRF 2012 is the basic document. It is a very comprehensive document that has been defined that used the involvement and that allowed lots of stakeholders in Qatar to express themselves and to define research priorities. In the field of energy and environment, there was 3 main priorities that were defined for energy. Oil and gas first, of course. This is a basic industry in that country, and it has to be research in that field is of prime importance. Then energy, renewable energy, and third priority, energy efficiency. In the field of environment, 3 other priorities were defined. First, understand and protect the environment. Then, secondly, address environmental sustainability, particularly relating to environmental health, air quality, and build a safe and sustainable environment. And the 6th priority was addressing climate change issues. Then there was a 7th priority, which is a cross-cutting one, a very important one too, that deals with advanced material sciences. As it was said by Dr. Nasser, QNRF is a living document, and in 2013, some of the priorities were particularly highlighted, and the notion of grand challenges appeared by the time. For oil and gas, for instance, the concept of responsible exploitation of resources, the production of high-value products from natural gas industry. For renewable energy, the discussion focused mostly on solar energy, and the notion of smart grid appeared by the time. In the field of environment, there was an issue on food security, and to address environmental sustainability, most of the priorities focused on desalination technologies, having a comprehensive water management system, and of course the notion of sustainable urbanization in a fast-growing country is a key issue. Those were the priorities that were defined in 2013. In 2014, the exercise was mostly driven by the Q institutes, and it was very helpful to design their own roadmap. And that's why the energy security grand challenges was highlighted, addressing particularly solar photovoltaics, grid integration of solar energy, and energy storage. The water security remains a constant priority for such countries in the Gulf, particularly desalination technologies, water management issues, groundwater storage, for instance, recharge. Those are key issues that have to be addressed in the coming years. I'm going to show you some of the key figures regarding those priorities. In the field of energy and environment, 333 NPRP projects have been awarded. That represent the biggest part of QNRF funding. 36% of NPRP projects are funded and awarded in that pillar. That represent almost $290 million US. This is a tremendous amount of funding. We have also a large part of the NPRP exceptional projects. 4 NPRP EP projects have been awarded from now. That represents 15 million USD. And a large part of the capacity building programs as well. And in particular, 180 UWEP projects were awarded in the field of energy and environment. So in terms of capacity building, this is very important as well. If one look at the dynamics, there has been a very important dynamics those recent years. And if you compare the numbers from 2009 to 2013, the number of NPRP awarded projects doubled during that short period. This is very important. And we still have a very strong commitment thanks to that dynamics. Even if we had cuts last year and the number of awarded projects that was reduced in 2013, the dynamics still keeps going very strong. And this was partly also partly compensated by the NPRP project. We awarded, as I said, 4 NPRP projects that represent almost 15 million USD. That strong dynamic is mostly supported by 2 main players in Qatar. First, Qatar University, particularly in the field of environment, but also in the field of energy, and then Texas A&M. As you can see, Kiri appeared in the system later on, but it has a rising share in the system. In terms of research outcomes, this is a trend, and we have a growing trend of publication. Now there are about more than 250 publications published in the field of energy and environment every year. This is, again, a very strong growth. There is room for improvement concerning patents, and I will come back to that later on. This is the trend of the awarded project per themes. And if you look at oil and gas has still the biggest share. But if you look at the trend, there has been a rising trend up to 2012, and then it's slightly declining. So we have to take care of those trends. This is very important for the country. Renewable energy, we are now addressing the energy security grand challenge, and this is rising. It corresponds to about a relative share of about 10%. We have a rising trend for sustainability technologies, mostly water technology, desalination, treatment. This is rising. And the seventh priority, cross-cutting technology, this is very important. It has been growing those recent years. So here are the details for the energy security, water security, and advanced material science. They address mostly energy and water. However, some of the themes that are of prime importance to Qatar deserve a stronger action, particularly higher value products related to the gas industry, CO2 conversion, of funded projects. Most of the research has been This is a portfolio. Most of the action funded by QNRF in that pillar is focusing on applied research. However, we performed, thanks to my colleagues, Dr. Fawzia Anu and Dr. Parakalan, we performed an exercise, an analysis of projects dealing with materials. And if one look at in details, most of the project portfolio is dealing with low TRLs, TRL1. Half of the projects are dealing with TRL1. That means that research is focusing mostly on basic principles and early stages of technology development. And we have to think about that. Only 15% of the project portfolio in the field of materials are dealing with proof of concept, development of proof of concept. So what's the way forward? First of all, we had a very strong, QNRS had a very strong impact, and most of the players align with QNRS priorities. Almost 100% of the projects awarded by QNRF are aligned with QNRS. We have now a substantial scientific production. And what are the drivers for future research priorities? First, we have to look for priorities where Qatar has a comparative advantage. Secondly, we have to find research priorities that really fit with Qatar's economical and industrial development. And we also have to build a research capacity that is able to help and support Qatar's public policies. In the field of technological research, we definitely need to diversify our project portfolio and increase the share of projects with higher technological readiness levels. We have to move progressively from TRL 1 to TRL 3 and 4. That means small pilots, experimental development. We have to better integrate stakeholders in the project, particularly the industry or the public institutions in the project as partners, as stakeholders, but also in the design of calls. We already started thinking about thematic calls and involving stakeholders. For environmental sciences, I would say that we now have the capacity to join large international initiatives. Environment is a global issue, and we recently joined the Belmont Forum, which is a global network of the main funding agencies addressing climate change research at a global level, and we'll host the annual meeting at the end of this year of the Belmont Forum. For technological research, I would say, and this is going to be my final recommendation, we have to preserve the energy and water grant challenges as they are designed, and those are long-term strategies. However, we also have to support the diversification of Qatar's economy, and particularly we have to focus a part of our research capacity on high-value projects from hydrocarbon industry. We have to follow up and support sustainable processes for the industry. I'm thinking about the steel, the alumina, the fertilizers, etc. We also have to develop a strong capacity to reduce industrial CO2 emissions. This is a key issue for the region. As you may know, we are very strong emitters per capita. And of course, we have to support research for sustainable buildings and cooling technology, which is a very strong issue in terms of energy consumption in Qatar. In the field of environmental sciences, I would say that one of the targets we should address, we have to protect the Qatar's environment, which is very fragile, and we also have to address the adaptation of Qatar to climate change impact. Thank you so much. Those are food for thought.
Thank you, Dr. Philip. And now we invite Dr. Thana for health profile. Welcome, Dr.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Nasser, for the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all, and it is really a privilege for me, after 10 years in QNRF, to tell you a little story about our journey during the past 10 years in medical research. It was a challenging as well as very interesting 10 years. I remember, I just give you a little glimpse of my first 3 months in Qatar and in QNRF. I went and I met the Dean of Weill Cornell. I met with the Minister of Health. Today it's Public Health. And I met with one of the guests, who is Dr. Janahi. I remember I met him in the first month, and he gave me very good inspiration about research, and I could detect there is really a very good, fantastic passion to do medical research in Qatar. I don't mean there was no medical research in Qatar. It started in 1974. And it continued, but it was mainly very limited and in a very scattered subject. But when QNRF started, we really managed to really fund a competitive project, and we watched what is happening. Constantly we evaluate ourselves and improve our operation and performance. And I would like to thank all the medical investigators who are doing excellently these days and in the past 10 years. So, QNRS in health is based or developed on 2 major goals. The first goal is to addressing national health priorities, improving health service, increase prevalence of healthy behavior in the population, and improve health outcome. And this is all facts which we all dream of. The other goal is to really build and develop platforms that really assess and help in research in specific areas, and particularly in areas that really Qatar needs high technology and high platform to strengthen medical research performance. And that is, I'm going to go through the objective of each one very in more details. So, objective goal number 1, which are made up of 13 objectives, which it covers really all the diseases, and mostly the diseases which are really of priority to Qatar and the region. So we were really became very careful in selecting funding in relation to these objectives. And it starts from type 2 diabetes, cancer, infectious disease, child health, maternal, neurological diseases, genetic, and so on and so forth. There will be more data on that. And the second one, the development and establishing and implementing platform that is really taking care of national translational research centers, public health research, alignment of biobank as research, enabling infrastructure that meets national needs. So, and this list goes on for cross-cutting additional research enabling platforms comprising stem cells, genomic technologies, all types of genomic technologies. And so these kind of platforms will hopefully through research will really back up the entire infrastructure of medical research. And without these platforms, the medical investigators cannot really move forward in an up-to-date kind of technologies and approach. So that is the QNRS, which I'm coming back to it with data. In 2014, the grand challenges came up, and of course, what is more challenging than modernizing, integrating healthcare system? This is quite challenging, and it takes years to reach a level of satisfaction. At the same time, there is mobility and road safety. This is multidisciplinary area. of Grand Challenge, but there is element of health research in it. Also, sport culture, and especially the 2022 is ahead of us, and there is a very good concern, really big concern that people has to do some research on sport and health as well as on security. And from there, we went to find, I have been 10 years in QNRF, and the grand challenges, as well as the Qatar National Research Strategy, established in 2012, and it maintained like this. So we wanted to find out whether really our distribution of funding is really aligned, and we are doing really according to the demand of the strategy that is established in 2012. I would like to mention here that 2 independent analytical studies has been done. One by funding programs, and the R&D did something only MPRP, and we mashed together. The pattern is exactly the same, and that is definitely, and assure you that this is what is happening. So when we looked at the objectives of goal number 1 and 2, we found that there are lots of, really significant funding in diabetes, cancer, genetic diseases, neurological diseases, as well as this in objectives number 1. But when we go to number 2, we notice that we are really having sufficient funding in public health and research enabling genomic and all the omic infrastructure. But we do have several weaknesses in funding in areas. This is reflecting when we go back and study why we fund those areas and less in other areas. And sure enough, there are very good investigators who are concentrated in Weill Cornell, in HMC, in Qatar University, who are really specialized in diabetes, cancer, and all and neurological diseases, and the establishment of QBRI, and Qatar University recruited fantastic investigators in the medical health. So it is really reflecting the existence of good investigators in specific areas. So we believe that there should be more enhancement of or recruitment of human capacity in areas that are less funded. Okay, so there is 96% of MPRP funded projects in health are aligned with QNRS, 79% in Goal 1 and 17% in Goal 2. 4% we found not aligned, and that is throughout the whole 10 years. MPRP in medical field was going up, and you can see from here, 2007 we started the first cycle, and it was increasing, and then it kind of leveled out, but it did not decrease sharply, but it is leveled out. We have also funded 3 MPRP EP, and that is for the major institutions and academia. One for Weill Cornell, the second one for HMC, the third one for Qatar University. And when we look at their progress and their alignment, they were all aligned with the Qatar National Strategy. So we looked at what type of research we are funding. And when we looked at the MPRP projects, we found that the basic and applied really points which really brought our attention that in the future we have to really focus on translational and more clinical work. And when we dig more deeper in this applied basic in relation to disease area, we found in diabetes, cancer, infectious disease, almost the whole range is really more into basic and applied compared to translational. So this is something which we need to work on together with the research institutions and academic institutions. QNRF can never, ever work alone. Never. This is what I believe. And everybody believes, not only myself, because together we can really make a difference. So distribution of fund among research entities inside Qatar, we found this slide shows 33% of the total fund goes to HMC, 26% goes to Weill Cornell, and 18% Qatar University. So those three institutions, or research entities, are really funded most among others. And I would like to tell you here that at the moment, as we speak, we have in Qatar 30 institutions or academic entities who are doing or participating in medical research in Qatar. 30. When we started first year, there were 7 registered with QNRF, but right now there are 30, which is very good progress. Number of researchers in Qatar. This is very important. It's a bit hard really to give a correct figure. Why? Because there is mobilization in and out of Qatar. There are people who are participating in one cycle and another. So I can assure you that the key investigator is a very close estimate to the reality inside and outside Qatar. Inside and outside Qatar, 664. But this is for inside and outside Qatar. And if you ask me how much is the proportion, it's something like 50-50. And if you want exact, it's about 53% inside Qatar and the rest outside. The remaining who are unnamed human capacity, these are really, we don't rely on this because there are some, for example, postdoc who is working on 2 projects, so we are counting twice. But this is just an estimation of human capacity who are really contributing in the project portfolio or research portfolio. Research output from biomedical and health, we have about 413 in medical research publication. We have 2 files patent, 10 chapters in books, and the remaining are conference abstract and papers. You know that in medical field we don't really, we rely mainly on peer-reviewed publication after it has been published in a journal. So the abstract in conferences, we would love to have it really published in journals. So what is these figures tells us? I mean, really it is figures, okay? But I'm coming to the real story. So we found out that there is 96% of NPRP, and even the whole entire funding in QNRF is really aligned with QNRS, which is something positive. The funding channeled into specific areas, and that specific areas, as I said, reflects the availability of strong, competent key investigators in institutions, which I mentioned 3 major ones. The majority of funding, which is about 45-50%, aligned with QNRS objective or goal 1, and about 15% accounted for goal 2. And basic and applied, it's still, I mean, this is a summary of what I just have said. And so the trend is really to gear to translational research. So, and the estimated number of key investigators, key investigators about 664 inside and outside Qatar. And approved journals is 413. So what do we do now with these figures? So the future steps or the way forward in medical research, we would like to, or that's the aim we draw to ourselves, to focus on areas which are with the red arrows, which are low funded, and they are priority to Qatar, and that is health awareness and public health security. This is something which Qatar requires, and we hope that we can fund. We come up with a very good funded project in this area. Road traffic accident. This is, as I said, multidisciplinary project, but there is a lot of health element in it. Maternal health is very low funded. We hope that in the future we focus on that. Sport and health, which makes everybody healthy, and I think we all want to live healthy for a long time, and sport is one wonderful, everybody, has to do some kind of sport, and the country is really directing people to really have healthy population by doing exercise and having a good sport manner. In the future, we will focus on genome research that brings innovation to the market for early disease diagnosis and treatment. This is an area which is linked with the next. We will be really building on the data that will come out from the projects that are hopefully we will learn about it today by Ms. Noor. In personalized medicine, we will build up more or further programs or calls to enhance research in Qatar genome, enhance in personalized medicine on further areas that will really help in providing better health, more precision medicine. Shaping this will shape our objectives in personalized medicine. So the bottom line, what is the bottom line, is really to align our operation in medical health with I keep saying Supreme Council of Health, but it is Ministry of Public Health. I have to remember that. So we have to really, in QNRF, myself, I always look at Ministry of Health, and I would like always to read their updated strategies to align our operation together with what is their demand. So we cannot really work in a silo by ourselves. I always look for what is the demand by the government itself. So our primary mission is to fund medical research that serve the wellness of the people of Qatar so that vibrant, healthy, and productive society can be established for today and for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Atala, for a very informative presentation. And now we invite Dr. Munir Taj to talk about computer science and ICT. Welcome.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Distinguished guests, Ustad Faisal Swedi, Dr. Hamad Ibrahim, Your Excellency Ambassador of Sweden, colleagues here in the room, I would like to welcome you to this QNRF Day. I'm going to give you an overview of the ICT portfolio funded by QNRF. ICT actually is quite an active sector in Qatar, especially in research and development. It represents more than 19% of all the projects funded by QNRF until today. This figure shows you the number of projects funded over the year, which also reflects the funding itself in terms of budget. So we have, projects on the rise. We have a little bit of dips somewhere because of sometimes of budget. But overall, the average per year is about 23 projects overall. So NPRP project, we funded 189 projects in all areas of ICT, and I will come to that in another slide, and which represent about $175 million. The applied research percentage is much higher than the basic research, with 128 projects in applied research. We funded 2 projects NPRP exceptional, and 64 projects in undergraduate for undergraduate students. 8 projects were funded for junior scientists, 9 postdoc projects, and 6 graduate students projects. Initially, we were funding projects in all areas of ICT. We were quite open. Our objective was to create capacity in Qatar, support the infrastructure. So we were very open to all areas. And then later on, when we had the strategy and QNRF 2012, 13, and 14, we were becoming more focused, and we were focusing more and more on the alignment with the QNRF strategy, and which is shown in this slide. Here you can see that in ICT we have infrastructure as one of the main goals. Then we have computing and data analytics, which includes distributed computing, cloud computing, data analytics, big data. Then we have Arabic language technologies and social computing, which includes Arabic language technologies and social computing. And we have also a goal on systems, applications, and robotics. It's quite wide. It includes wireless networks, wireless sensors networks, embedded and integrated system, which has a big number of projects in this area. I will come to that later on, and robotics and computer vision. And then we have cross-cutting enabling research, which actually applies to all areas and all sectors, which is information security, and it's highlighted in red because it's one of our grand challenges, indicated by Dr. Nasser. And we have bioinformatics, and we have scientific computing. So let us see, how these projects are split, on the different goals. So we see here the highest number of projects goes to the ICT 4, which is actually systems, applications, and robotics. And as I mentioned that, this is quite big number of areas, so including wireless communication, robotics, and embedded systems. And it also includes multidisciplinary projects. So it's not a surprise to see this big column among the others, which is quite low, because this includes a number of other sectors. Then if we go deep to see the number of projects funded per objective, so we had now the goals, and then if we zoom into the objectives, we see here that ICT actually spans over all the areas, and also all the different pillars. And a large number of projects are in embedded systems and integrated systems. And we have wireless communication representing 26% of the overall funded projects. And this is not a surprise because it reflects the capacity we are having in Qatar. So the capacity, most of the capacity in Texas A&M, in Qatar universities are in wireless communication, and that's why we are getting many projects and submissions in this area, and consequently, the funded projects also goes or went to these areas. In terms of capacity, all these projects allowed us to really develop the capacity in Qatar, and ICT is quite a dynamic sector. We have 431 key investigators funded in ICT inside and outside Qatar, which represent 19.5% of all the key investigators funded by QNRF. And we have in Qatar itself 165 key investigators, which includes the lead PIs and the PIs, representing 19% of all the key investigators in Qatar. The table here shows the cumulative numbers of capacity funded inside and outside Qatar, with postdocs representing 287, graduate students 349, research assistant and associates about 500, and lab technicians 30. And we also developed capacity through the undergraduate research experience program, and we can see that about 235 students were funded in ICT, and they got projects awarded by us and under the mentorship of 105 teachers. In terms of outcome, all these projects, generated some outcome, and we have actually in Qatar collaboration with 15 local institutions. So and we are supporting and encouraging to have collaborative type of research. So we have 15 local institutions actually involved in projects in ICT in Qatar, which is quite good. And internationally, we have 146 international institutions collaborating with Qatar, and this is quite useful, to create this interaction, exchange of knowledge, and networking. And it proved to be very useful in generating the publications we are having here. We are having in ICT 11 patents filed and 1 granted, 10 filed and 1 granted, and we have a number of more than 1,500 conference papers and journal papers and books. Actually, the ICT it is very active. It represents about 40% of the outcome, of the publications in QNRF. So what's the way forward? Our strategy was initially to focus on building areas. So I think we are achieving that now through all these funded programs. And now the next phase is to sustain this capacity. So we don't want to lose this capacity. We want to sustain this capacity and build on it, and also address other areas which are low funded or not addressed properly in the past, and which are critical to Qatar. And regarding this capacity which was developed, we want to guide them towards commercialization. So it's very important for us to take this to the projects, the good outcome to the next phase. And really here we need to develop the awareness of staff and faculties in the universities. I remember once I had a site visit to one of the universities in Qatar, and they had a good achievement in their projects, and said, okay, very good, you did well. So what's the next phase for you? I was expecting them to tell me, okay, we will go for commercialization or for to the market, and they said, okay, the next phase will be to apply for another NPRP. So I think there is an awareness that needs to be created, and I think we have an important role with our IPTT department to go and preach these ideas for entrepreneurship and innovation. We need to focus on ICT challenges that create optimal value and impact. So impact is very important. So we have been doing quite good now in the past, and the next phase we want really to go to market and have impact in the society. This is quite critical for us, and we would like to invest on innovation and outcome-driven projects. So outcome will be our prime focus in the next phase. And we would like to complement. We don't want to reinvent the wheel or duplicate what the other institutions are doing. We would like to complement the work of the research institutes in Qatar, whether it's KIRI or QCRI or QBRI. We would like to complement and work together on addressing our critical missions. And we would like also to develop multidisciplinary research. So ICT by ICT, ICT, as you know, is now applies to all areas and addresses different market demands. So, for example, in this room, I think most of you have having mobile phones and laptops and tabs, etc. So these are all ICT products, which are quite useful and which are quite useful in all areas, whether it's in energy and environment, whether it's in health, whether it's in finance. So ICT is quite important, and we would like to address ICT holistically on collaboration with the industry and local stakeholders. And another important factor is we would like to look in the future more closely is the joint funding initiative with the funding agencies, whether it's with industry inside Qatar or funding agencies outside Qatar. And of course, whenever it's necessary, to develop international collaboration further. It's especially in areas where we lack capacity and expertise in Qatar. Of course, all these we achieve a global leadership in the areas we are looking to address. So to move forward now to the next phase, we did our analysis, and we found that, for instance, some of the areas are misrepresented or don't have enough funding in Qatar. For instance, data management and data science needs to be enhanced. I think it's quite important. We talk about big data in all areas, in health, in finance, in economy, in smart cities. So we'd like to enhance this area. Another area of interest is social computing, especially with regards to Arabic social computing. We know about Twitter, Facebook, but we would like to have our own social computing and social media, having our own specificity and our own characteristics and privacy requirements. We would like also to focus on cybersecurity. Currently, we have been focusing on cybersecurity globally, but we'd like really to focus and define specific themes that address specific complementary aspects of cybersecurity that's critical interest to Qatar. And in the two big columns you are seeing in the figures, wireless networks and embedded and integrated systems. Wireless networks, I think it is heavily funded. We would like to sustain that and maintain this capacity in Qatar. This addresses wireless networks, ICT in health, ICT in education. A large area, including power electronics, smart cities, intelligent transportation system, ICT in industry, ICT for people with special needs, ICT in agriculture. So these are areas we would like to enhance. And our key action areas for the future or for the next phase will be clustering of areas which we feel of prime importance. Like, for instance, clustering cybersecurity, data science, and human behavior. So putting them together and having a program or a call to address this aspect from this perspective, cybersecurity, data science, and human behavior. The second area we'd like to address is, as I mentioned, Arabic language technologies applied to social computing. And Internet of the third area is smart cities and intelligent transportation system. And we were quite happy yesterday, to have one of the best innovative projects funded, awarded yesterday, and it's stemming out of QNRF funding, on intelligent transportation system. ICT and agriculture is quite important. Food security, all of these are actually mapped to grand challenges. So ICT in agriculture is food security, which is quite critical to Qatar, and using technology really to enhance the development of plants, drones. So this area I think we need to consider in the future. And also the last but not least, it's ICT for people with special needs. This category of people actually they require access to knowledge and to information, and I think technology is very important, especially ICT technologies is very important to help these people to achieve the knowledge and the information they are in need of. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Munir. And now we invite Dr. Michael to talk about social science, arts, and humanities. We're saving the best for last, by the way.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Excellency, distinguished guests, the leadership of QF R&D, colleagues, scientists, researchers, students. It's a distinct pleasure for me to talk about the importance of the social sciences, arts, and humanities as Qatar is on its transformative journey to becoming a knowledge-based economy. And not yet, thank you. Let's take a quick look, as my colleagues did, at what kind of goals and objectives the Qatar National Research Strategy outlined for the social sciences, arts, and humanities. And what you see here is that it encompasses a whole ecosystem of what is needed for a society to transform itself from a hydrocarbon-based society to a knowledge-based society. And it touches all the aspects: society, culture, public and economic life, and capabilities, collaborations, and cross-cutting. And there, especially, you would see methodology. We have some very good research going on in Qatar and funded by QNRF that looks at what new methods do we need to analyze the data that we get, also from other fields and other pillars, to facilitate this move towards a knowledge-based economy. When you look at the portfolio of the social sciences, arts, and humanities, you will see that we have a significant amount of funding. 115 NPRP projects were awarded in this pillar, which represents 12% of the total number of awards and 9% successful. When you look, for instance, at the Europe competitions, where we received 142 awards, as well as awards in Petra, Jesrib, and Gesra. And here are some of the funding trends by numbers. Obviously, there was a steep rise in the early years of QNRF funding, and it leveled off, but this leveling off, of course, is a little bit misleading because last year we had fewer awards, so the 17, or 2 years ago, the 17 that you see there actually represents an increase in the percentage of funding that went to the social sciences, arts and humanities, and that is a trend we have seen over the last couple of years. And I'm extremely pleased about this, but it also reflects your efforts because QNRF enables you do the work. And as we are getting more and more outstanding proposals in the social sciences, arts and humanities, we can comparatively fund more of them. Now, this slide you in all kinds of versions have seen several times today. And what I would like to focus on is that when we went from the QNRS 2012 to QNRS 2013, there were identified 12 Grand Challenges areas, 12 Grand Challenges areas that were then boiled down in 2014 to 3 immediate Grand Challenges: water security, energy security, and cybersecurity that needed to be addressed. But as you can see here, I tried to highlight some of them. When you read about sustainable urbanization, managing the social dimensions of change, culture, arts, and the media, it gives you a pretty good idea that this august body of people who talked about what are these grand challenges for Qatar as we are moving forward, that they were very much aware that you cannot achieve this goal of a knowledge-based economy without investing heavily also in social sciences and humanities research. Let me read something to you what Science Europe, the scientific committees for the humanities and the social sciences, put in their Vilnius Declaration. Addressing the societal challenge necessitates what might be called deep change. Not only change in technology and know-how, but also in behavior, and more fundamentally, changes in people's pervasive values, cultures of practice, and modes of communication. And that's what I see in this document, the realization that social sciences research, research in the humanities, reflecting of where we have come from as we are going forward, is incredibly important to this journey. And of course, there's a reason why when we look at the Qatar National Vision 2030, I highlighted these 3 words: economic, human, social, and environmental impact. Because all of this is the language of the social sciences and the humanities. You have to bring the people along as you are addressing all these technological challenges and as you are coming up with these amazing solutions to technological challenges. Let me give you a few statistics here. As we look at these various areas, most of the funding in the social sciences goes to questions that address directly society, but also to public and economic life. Obviously, public and economic life gives you the ecosystem around the changes that we are looking for. And then as we move a little bit deeper here into this, it shouldn't be surprising as we're working to educate and build the next generation of Qatari citizens who are going to move this journey forward, that we have invested quite a lot in the social sciences, arts and humanities, in the science of learning, and also in questions as related to the development of culture. Public policy is incredibly important, as we ourselves know at QNRF. When we deal with, say, human subjects research, we always have to look for what are the laws, what are the regulations that have been implemented in Qatar so that we can work toward these research goals and economics. But I would like for you to focus also on these 2 arrows that I put there, and at the end of my 10 minutes that we have been given, I will try to focus a little bit more on this. Also to social sciences and urban development, and we will focus on that as we are going forward in this pillar. Not surprisingly, Qatar University receives the greatest amount of funding when it comes to the awards in my pillar, followed by the QF branch campuses. Here are the awards by overall topics when it comes to society, culture, public and economic life, and capabilities. And again, I would like to drill a little bit down here. That's a bit busy, but basically what this is going to show you is that Qatar University has expertise in all these areas of social sciences and humanities. And not surprisingly, the QF branch campuses, that's of course why they were asked to come to Qatar, have specific expertise in various areas, and they're very strong there, and that's where the awards are given to these institutions. The types of awards that we see in the social sciences, arts and humanities are mostly applied, but we have seen a little bit of an increase in experimental applications and awards. And I think because experimental economics, experimental social sciences in general is one important way for us to validate our results, I think I would love to see more of these kinds of proposals come to QNRF and be awarded. And of course, I'm extremely happy that we see great outcomes in terms of journals, books, creative works in the social sciences and humanities, and we are on pace in 2016 to follow the good results that we had in 2015. Now, the last few minutes that I have here, I would like to also talk about the way forward in the social sciences, arts and humanities as it relates to funding by QNRF. My favorite professor, when I took economic history in Germany during my undergraduate studies, he always said, there is no perspective without retrospective. And so we have done the retrospective. What is the perspective? Where are we going? And you heard the executive director of QNRF, Dr. Abdulsattar Al-Tai, talk about the switch from investigator-driven research towards more mission research. That shouldn't be a concern necessarily to the social sciences, arts, and humanities. We just have to make sure that we are in the conversation as we define what are these missions. And there has been a lot of work done already. We can look at the capacity that we do have in the country. And some of these that I highlight here, I think, are prime candidates for future research in the social sciences, arts, and humanities that directly address grand challenges as we see them in Qatar today. They are related to entrepreneurship and innovation. Interested in this topic, I think this is something that we can take forward. But also as it comes to investigating the implementation of flexible labor policies. We bring an enormous amount, with lots of effort, of very talented people to Qatar. I mean, you are out there, you're looking at me right now. You are these very talented people that have been brought to Qatar. How do we use that capacity in the most efficient and most effective way? How do we not lose people too quickly? That has to do with these kinds of labor policies that need to be investigated in Qatar, in the region, and I think QNRF can play a big role, as can you. We enable, you perform. And two more topics that I would like to highlight. We shouldn't forget, as we assess the impact of rapid globalization, economic growth and wealth, where the country has been coming from as we are moving forward. Culture, arts, and history are instrumental for society in being grounded as it moves forwards towards new goals. And so I think everybody would agree that we need to continue our focus on the culture, arts, and historical research that we are funding. We had an amazing workshop a couple of days ago, and yesterday a great invited session on new paradigms in sustainable urbanism organized by Professor Anna Grishting from Qatar University. And the invited session gave us already these nuggets that we can take forward to do more research in finding out how these large urban projects that we have in Qatar, that we see all around us, can deliver long-term benefits to this country. I think QNRF can play a leading role in that as well. Just as my closing thoughts, all of this is embedded in the next iteration of the QNRS. Under the leadership of Mr. Faisal Al-Suwaidi, the president of QF R&D, and Dr. Hamad Al-Ibrahim, the vice president of QF R&D, we are right now in the process of finding a new iteration of the Qatar National Research Strategy. When we had the 2014 version, social sciences in this big document was mentioned 4 times. 4 times. I think we can do better than this. But in order for us to do better than this in this next iteration, you have to join this conversation that we all just started with the ideas of moving forward, that I just started for the social sciences. You are the stakeholders in the social sciences, arts, and humanities. And as we are moving this forward, this conversation, I need you, we need you to make your voice heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Michael. As you saw from the presentations, that we have in QNRF now, after 10 years, enough data to assess what we have been doing and to look at things differently. We can, from the data, find gaps, find areas where we need to emphasize, and this is going to be our way in the future. Unfortunately, this session is made to take questions, but because we are over time by almost 30 minutes, we postpone these questions for during the break probably, so we will all be happy to answer any questions, just to be fair for the next session. So thank you all, and we hope to talk in the break. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Nasser, and thank you to the pillar directors. And now I'd like to invite Dr. Omar Bukhris, Director Post Award, to the stage to share some QNRF success stories. Dr. Omar.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Your Excellency, QF leadership, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, QNRF colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We will be moving now to the downstream part of the whole process to talk about research, products, and impact. So all of you know without doubt that we do live in a very creative, innovative world when it comes to R&D. Almost new breakthroughs come to light almost on daily basis. Globally, a few weeks ago, you all heard that a new, very promising cancer therapy has emerged from the UK. We are reshaping now our understanding in terms of the very basics of the reality, from the very small to the Higgs boson to the very big discovery of water on planet Mars. That's what they announced. Healthcare is getting personalized, all the new orders of ICT. So things are moving very, very, very fast around us. QNRF, as mentioned by my colleagues, has engaged heavily in investing in R&D for the last decade. And therefore, it becomes very essential and imperative to measure the impact of our assessment for the purpose of analysis, accountability, allocation, but also mainly for the purpose of advocacy. We want to make the case that research is doing something for Qatar and for the region. We want to make the case at all times. This is a very integral process within the whole scheme of R&D, and it's not only in hardship times. So why the overall process is running through the QNRS? Last year, I was on this very podium to talk about impact, how to define impact, and mainly how to measure it. And all of you, or some of you, would remember this slide when I had talked about legacy. and about wherever you are sitting in the whole scheme, being an administrator, a manager, an institution, a researcher, a policy maker, wherever you are really building this legacy for us. We are building on the previous research and continuing on top of it. Also, many of you would remember this map I showed last year. This map shows the impact that is being tangible, measured, used by people worldwide. Wherever you see light, you see tangible impact used by the people of this or that nation. And wherever you see darkness, you don't see that, unfortunately. And we said last year that it is very easily, you can correlate between wherever there is a good way of being, of living, access to healthcare, good life, you see light. Wherever you see darkness, you see poverty, you see diseases, you see wars, you see problems. So research is an engine of prosperity indeed. There is no question about that. Now, if you zoom to our region, the eastern part of the Arabian Peninsula, Qatar region, there is lights out there. We are doing something. And should we want our light to further shine, we must not lower our sights when it comes to R&D. Now, disseminating, you may call it communicating, showcasing research impact, it's a must. You want to make sure that the whole world sees you in that map. One last point I want to highlight prior to inviting our colleagues on stage, our lead PIs of the success stories, is the very fact that we do usually miss, or sometimes miss, integrating fully the human dimension. I know Dr. Michael talked about it from the social science perspective, but I would generalize it. What we often see is the silo effect. The researcher is doing his or her work in his/her lab. His or her lab would be his and her universe, and the public who are supposed to benefit out of that research are somewhere else in another silos. There is low communication, sometimes no communication whatsoever, only when there is results. So what I'm advocating here for all parties involved in R&D to carry out a message of value, a message of contribution and application to the people that will pick up the bill at the later stage. We should not assume that because it's an unsolicited task on our part that the public would not be interested. No, they would. I'm very sure they would be interested only if we engage them in a message that highlights their need, their perception of R&D. Why should we do that? Well, simply because we are the only people that understand the language of science. And unless we make it in layman way to disclose it to them so they can understand, I'm afraid we will not really make the most of our R&D. So, ladies and gentlemen, this session is an advocacy session by excellence. We selected for you 4 successful stories, each from one pillar, and we invited their respective lead PIs who are here with us today, and they were very kind to accept the invitation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bina Ahmed from the Texas A&M University in Qatar, Dr. Darwish Al-Imadi from Qatar University, Sassari, Dr. Abbas Amira, Qatar University, Computing Engineering Department, and last, Dr. Mohammed bin Saif Al-Kuwari, Assistant Secretary, Ministry of Environment. So I will proceed very quickly with a short bio of every one of our lead PIs. Then I will hand over to them to talk about their tangible impact of their project. Dr. Bina, we will start with you. Dr. Bina Ahmed is a faculty member of the Electrical and Computer Engineering at Texas A&M. She received her PhD from the University of New South Wales, Sydney. Her research interest lies at the intersection of signal processing and computer science with biomedical science. Dr. Bina has been active with different funders and published over 50 peer-reviewed journals and conferences. Now, Dr. Bina, I understand that your project is kind of multidisciplinary between engineering and the medical field, and you succeeded to produce a software or a product that is now being used. Would you tell us about that?
Yes. Briefly, our project is a technology-based remote speech therapy tool for children with childhood apraxia of speech. To give you some context, childhood apraxia of speech is a neurological disorder that affects children's ability to correctly pronounce words, syllables. Treatment involves extended therapy conducted in the presence of a speech and language pathologist. However, the extended nature of the therapy means that children often miss out on valuable therapy due to the shortage of skilled professionals and the high cost of therapy. And that is the issue that we aim to address in this project. In this project, we developed a remote speech therapy tool that allows children to perform therapy in the comfort of their homes while still being supervised by a speech and language pathologist. As you see in the figure in the slide over here, our tool has three components. First, children are presented with interactive speech therapy exercises on a mobile application. Their speech is recorded while they perform these exercises and transmitted to the second component, which is a remote server, where speech processing algorithms we developed analyze the speech produced by the children, identify errors made, and transmit those results onwards to a clinician's interface where a speech pathologist can monitor them. This client-server architecture allows the pathologist to remotely monitor progress made by the children and update any exercises that need to be done based on the progress made by the children. This allows children to perform therapy in their homes, reducing the need for expensive and intensive speech therapy system. However, the best part of this project was that we were able to validate this system in user studies in which children actually used our tool while they underwent treatment. And these results were very promising. Children, parents, pathologists alike all indicated a preference to using our tool. Furthermore, the progress made by those children using these tools was similar to that achieved using traditional therapy, which is very encouraging. It shows that remote speech therapy is a viable supplement to traditional therapy. And I stress supplement because nothing can replace one-to-one therapy. Now, your key question is, what is the impact to Qatar? And there are several. First and foremost, we have a tool which for the first time allows true remote speech therapy. This can benefit children with childhood apraxia of speech in Qatar, their parents, speech pathologists, clinics, institutes that work with these children. This is really valuable for Qatar given that there is a shortage of speech pathologists in the country. Speech pathologists who are unable to cope with the demand of the fast-growing population in Qatar and the high rate of congenital speech disorders in the country. Second, we have a working prototype that can be commercialized with limited investment. This means this tool can be spread widely among clinicians, pathologists, institutes in the country. That means that this will ease the burden on healthcare systems in Qatar. It will free up the demand, it will reduce the demand on face-to-face therapy sessions, meaning that pathologists can now actually meet more children, treat more children, and even treat children in remote locations. Third, the algorithms that we developed a mapping from these algorithms to errors made by children and therapy outcomes. The machine learning algorithms are accurately able to identify errors made by these children. But the best part is that these algorithms are versatile enough to be used with other disorders. And more specifically, they can be adapted for use in Arabic. This is a huge issue for Qatar, given that there are limited resources for speech therapy in Arabic and its various dialects. Furthermore, these algorithms can be adapted for pronunciation training systems for Arabic learning as well, too. Fourth, you've talked a lot about research outcomes. We also developed international collaborations with speech therapy research groups in the United Kingdom and Australia. Researcher, and we even involve 4 undergraduate researchers in our project. And finally, one important aspect is that we collected a database of disordered speech from children with childhood apraxia of speech. For those of you who work with human subjects, you will realize the value of that database. I already have researchers from around the world interested in gaining access to that database because we can work for years using that database. And that's why my work hasn't ended actually on this project. In NPRP Cycle 8, we were awarded a renewal grant for this project. As part of the project, we hope to benefit Qatar even more. We will extend the range of activities, game-like activities on the mobile app. This will better engage children and encourage them to maintain treatment. We will port some of the speech processing onto the mobile phone. This will allow us to develop speech-controlled games. In other words, we can provide children with real-time feedback about how they have performed during this exercise, something that's not available now. And finally, and most importantly, we'll be conducting detailed user studies where we'll quantify the benefit that can be achieved using these tools. And that is what will win over all the clinicians who are hesitant in incorporating our tool in their treatment. Thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Moving forward now to the next project, the next impact, Dr. Darwish Al-Aimadi from the Qatar University. Dr. Al-Aimadi received his PhD in Sociolinguistics from the University of Edinburgh. Dr. Al-Aimadi held several senior positions at Qatar University, including VP Research, Dean of College of Humanities and Social Science, Dean of the Graduate School, and the Director of Education Institute at the Supreme Education Council. Now, in addition to all of this, Dr. Al-Aimadi is heading the Social and Economic Survey Research Institute, CESRI. I understand that QNRF project has produced a huge impact for your project, Dr. Al-Aimadi, and that's why we opted to use the title of How QNRF Contributed to Building CESRI. Would you let us know how?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be here actually today. And thank you for actually inviting me to speak actually in this forum. Actually, WVS stands for World Value Survey, and it was one of the first projects that actually, it was the first project that CESRI was awarded actually through QNRF. And it was, I think, the second national survey that we did at Qatar. Now, World Value Survey actually is a survey that started in the 1980, and it runs every 5 or 6 years. So we actually did this in Qatar in wave 6, and it was the first time that actually Qatar participated in World Value Survey. And when we achieved that, we became part of the over 60 countries that actually do this. And then it really provided us a baseline. So now we can actually measure ourselves against the rest of the world on different dimensions, in terms of tolerance, for example, in terms of democracy, attitudes toward democracy, in terms of gender issues, lots of things that actually we can safely say that we have a baseline. And by the way, next wave is next year. It starts next year. So I think maybe in 2018 or end of 17, we can actually see what are the trends in Qatar. You see, prior to this, I really didn't think we have enough solid background to really say that how we can compare ourselves to the rest of the world. But there are, I think, there are key elements that I think is fundamental for policymakers to understand. And it really runs deep in the society. And therefore, I think to highlight these findings is not only important to the audience, but I think is more important to the policymakers. And one of the key issues that we really, it's there, that we found, we basically, is ordinary people. These are Qatari people who I'm talking about. A national representative sample. And when they were asked a simple question, do you think that actually high qualification and degree will get you a good job or your connection? The percentage is there. is almost 50% of the people actually think your connection will get you good jobs. And that is really, I think, has a fundamental implication for what we see actually, what we call it chronological motivation issues in schools. Now, reports over reports in other studies show fundamentally that our kids, particularly male students, Qatari male students, and to large extent also female students, suffer from what we call it motivation decays. They are totally unmotivated. And now I think this is something for policymakers to really tackle. And this actually, I go back to the issue of what we raised yesterday, that research results cannot be achieved overnight. It's really a long process. Now to change that cycle, this psychology of people that actually wasta is everything in your society, to the thing that actually know your hard work is really your main source of your reward, it's not a process that actually you can do it even by just issuing a policy. It's a behavioral change. And really that's something fundamentally important. So I think there are lots of things that actually came out of this. For example, we really think we have to be more tolerant. Our data show that actually we are less tolerant to our, for example, religion, that we should be. So this is another case where actually I think policymakers have to take note of this. We have to embed this in our curriculum to basically be more acceptance of others. And I think if we look at around the region, all this turbulence that we see, fundamental issue is actually we are intolerant. We simply do not actually accept other people, whether in terms of religion, or in terms of culture, or in terms of color, or whatever or ethnic, whatever. These are fundamental things. And now by doing this, we really think in 15 years' time, hopefully somebody will be sitting here and comparing all this data and see whether we are more tolerant society or not. Have we actually done enough? Now we know these things to really overcome some of these difficulties. I think these are really fundamental things that came out of this. Now, this what I think is more important than publication, because this really has, now sometimes we look at the impact of a research in terms of publication and patent, but when actually you are doing in social science, I think it is more important how actually you produce results that directly influences the society or has an impact to the society. And I think these findings is more telling, is more impactful for decision makers and for policy makers than if I actually publish 10 journal articles. Those are good. And by the way, there are actually lots of things that came out of it. I mean, we published 3-4 articles ourselves. But every time any researcher who works actually on WVS data publishes something, Qatar is mentioned there, because all the publications that come out of our WVS and over the last 5 years, more than 10,000 publications came out. So it's huge, because there are tons of people actually in social science that actually on daily basis, they go to the website and actually download this data. And then normally, whenever they download the data, they download it across regionally or globally. So they always compare all countries. But what I'm saying, I'm really personally, I think for me, it's far more important if we really just tackle 2 or 3 issues that is really fundamental to Qatar society, not ourselves, but policymakers take note of these things. Those are really what we think is important. I don't know, did I run out of time, or can I still actually?
You're good.
Okay, thank you, Banu.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, next is Professor Abbas Amira from Qatar University. Dr. Amira received his PhD in the area of computer engineering from Queen's University, Belfast, 2001. He specialized in co-processor for matrix algorithm using field programmer gate for image and signal processing. He received the 2008 Varian Prize and he is a member of editorial boards for many international journals. Dr. Amira, looking at the title of your project, there is electrical engineering, there is sensor technology, and there is a possible application in gas. Let us know what's that about.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here today to talk to you about some of the research outcomes and results of our ongoing MPRP project entitled A Low-Power Self-Calibrated Multi-Sensing Platform for Gas Applications. First of all, I'd like to thank QNRF for their continued support and for giving us the opportunity to talk today about our project. And I would like also to thank all our collaborators and my colleagues at Qatar University who participated in this project, namely Professor Muhyiddin bin Ammar, Dr. Faisal bin Sali, and our collaborators, Professor Amin Bermak, who joined recently HBQ in Qatar from University of Science Technology, Hong Kong, and Professor Mohamed Sawan from Polytechnique Montreal, Canada. So let me briefly give you an overview about the project and what we've done. The main aim of this project was to develop, optimize, integrate, and prototype a self-calibrated real-time platform which can be used for gas application. In simple words, this platform can be used as an electronic nose that can smell odors or gases. It can be used for example, gas pipeline inspection and monitoring. It has communication capabilities, and it's real-time performance and low power. Therefore, the project is carried out as sets of objectives which eventually form the work packages that you can see in slides. We have in total 4 work packages. The first work package, which is led by Professor Amin Bermak, is concerned with the design and fabrication of 2 sensors, a temperature sensor and a gas sensor, which feature compactness, low power, they are small in size, they are very sensitive, and they have fast response. The other work package that I'm leading at Qatar University aims at developing a real-time, reconfigurable SoC platform, system-on-chip platform, where we implemented and prototyped, accelerated some algorithms which can be used for data dimensionality reduction, such as linear discriminant analysis, principal component analysis, and other classification algorithms and fusion. The prototyping platform that we use features an ARM processor and programmable logic, so it gives you plenty of design flexibility, which allows the designer to optimize solutions on this platform to achieve maximum performance in terms of power consumption, in terms of computation time, and maximum frequency that the algorithms can run at. The other work package is concerned with the design and fabrication of circuits for RFID communication interfaces, which can be embedded with this platform for remote monitoring and alerting. And this work package is led by Professor Sawan at Polytechnique Montreal in Canada. And finally, the other work package that we are still working on at the moment, it deals with the integration, testing, validation of the system, and we are leading this at Qatar University. Let me talk to you now about some of the applications where our solution can be deployed. I mean, one of the main applications, as I said earlier, is to deploy or use this application for monitoring gas pipeline. This will help to detect, for example, defects, cracks, and leaks in real time. Another application is to detect toxic gases with their concentrations. Another application, it can be deployed in smart green buildings, where our solution can be used, for example, with ventilation systems to measure the amount of polluted air and CO2 emission. Now, in terms of commercialization of the solution, we can target many markets, not only limited to local gas industries, but also all the logistics industries that deal with food, medical product, cold food, basically chain, security, companies that are interested in detecting, for example, poisoning gases to prevent basically terrorist attacks, also environment monitoring, pollution monitoring, and so on and so forth. In terms of benefits for Qatar, does this and embedded systems using SOCs and also sensor design. It has provided training to talent people, to our researchers, and we have 3 PhD students supervised. One of them graduated last year, another 2 they will be graduated this year. And in terms of impact, the project has made a very significant impact, scientifically, academically, and socially as well, and economically. Now, in terms of outputs and publications, we managed to publish more than 40 publications in top journals and conferences. We got 4 awards at regional and international conferences, at ICCS 2013, at ARC 2013, at ICSA 2014, and recently at ASP DAC 2016. As a result of this project, we have developed innovative courses at, for example, Qatar University, where we teach now a course on hardware-software co-design, which is a unique course teaching our students how to prototype their algorithms on the Zinc SoC platform. At HBKU, there is another course on sensors now delivered by Professor Bermak as part of their graduate studies. And finally, the key principal investigators have participated as keynote speakers in many international events to disseminate the results of these projects, and we have identified key areas for further investigation in the future, including how we can deploy some of the techniques we implemented already in these projects in other applications, such as connected healthcare, smart transportation systems, etc. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. Okay, so we reserved the big impact for the last, if I may. Dr. Mohammed bin Saif al-Kuwari, he is serving currently as Assistant Undersecretary for Standardization in the Ministry of Environment and was formerly Director General of Qatar General Organization for Standard. Dr. al-Kuwari holds a Master's and PhD in Civil Engineering. He also contributed heavily in preparing Qatar's national plan to promote and protect human rights. He has the very important task of developing national regulations and standards and had multiple impactful results through this project. Dr. al-Kuwari, thanks for coming first.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Your slide shows a very exciting number of saving 500 million Qatari riyals out of that project.
Yes.
Please let us know what is that about.
I will tell you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. On behalf of Ministry of Municipality and Environment and Qatar Standard, I would like to thank QNRF to invite us today in this session. And also, I would like the strategic partner, Dr. Khalid Hassan from TRL and Ashgar. Research into national specification. National specification, I mean Qatar QCS, Qatar Construction Specification 2014. This is approved recently in this year, last year. So we are talking about the developing the effective use of recycled aggregates in construction. Now we are going to put this research as a strategy of the recycled material or of recycled waste construction in the site. Imagine that waste in the site now. So we need to deal with this construction waste to recycle, to aggregate, to use it in construction, like in roads and concrete. Because it is comply with Qatar National Vision 2030 and Qatar National Development Strategy 2011 and 2016. So the project and technology description assess recycled material available in Qatar, sustainable development, identifies solid waste in Qatar, demonstrate how to use this in construction, for example, roads, sub-bases, or concrete, walls, construction material like hollow blocks, paving blocks, a lot of things. Produce specification and design guidance. Raise awareness, it is very important, in the construction industry. So what are the benefits for this project? We have a lot of benefits. Protection of the environment. Reduce carbon footprint of aggregate extraction and transport at least 50%. This is calculated from 2015 until 2018. Preserve natural resources and reduce waste to landfill. This is a big benefit from this project. Improve aggregate supply for construction project. Less reliance on the imported aggregate and cost saving. Now, we need in Qatar yearly 20 million ton imported from outside Qatar. So if we use this, we can less reliance on imported aggregate. So a key outcome for impact, partnership between government and industry. Government, I mean Ashghal, municipality, consultants, and industry like factories, contractors, and others. First, updated of national specification based on research evidence in Qatar regions. Now, we approved a lot of specification related to the research, like UCS 2014, Section 5, Section 6, Section 12, Section 13, and Part 4 for unit management. That is for masonry. So a lot of specification produced or approved related to the research. Now, we'll go to the save 500 million of Qatar Riyal return to economy. So we calculated this number from 2015, 2018. If we use this recycled material, we can save 500 million riyals instead to imported aggregate from outside, riyals, instead to imported aggregate from outside. You imagine the ton of Gabro, for example, 80 riyals and reached 100 riyals. If you recycle this material, we can get 35 riyal. You imagine the gap between 90 to 35 riyal. All of this material or all this cost related or return to the economy or Qatari economy. So, also new companies of managing waste. And the national awards, name Innovative Project 2013, Qatar Contractor Forum. And regional also awards, a Green Mind Award for the best green innovation project in Middle East and North Africa, MENA. So also, finally, this is implementation and practice. Impact on environment, construction industry, health, and economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We would have loved to stay more with our successful leaders, but unfortunately time does not allow. So please feel free to meet with them and ask them questions during the break. Once again, a round of applause to them. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Omar, and thank you for those researchers sharing their success stories. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, as I invite Ms. Noor Al-Mareki, Director of Programs QNRF, to the stage to present the outcome of QNRF funding.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is this on? Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As always, it gives me great pleasure to conclude this session with the announcement of not only the MPRP, but also 2 additional programs. So please bear with me. I know several of you are quite anxious to know the result, and I will do my best to go as fast as possible. Just to walk you through the agenda of the presentation, I will start by giving you an overview of the whole program structure and what is the way forward, especially for the awarded projects. Then we will start by giving you an overview of the first call of USRA and the awarded grants, followed by another new call, which is Path Toward Personalized Medicine, and last but not least, MPRP 9 cycle award announcement. Now, in general, as Dr. Abdulsattar has mentioned earlier, our target now to move away from not just investigator-driven, but to also mission-driven kind of programs. And we have already started this kind of model in 2014. So our competitive research funding programs is made of 2 types. The first type is what we call a solicited, and we have established a program that is called Thematic and Grand Challenges Research Program, in which we utilize the stakeholder and sometimes national funding agency to define research areas and establish steering committee to identify topic of high priority to Qatar and come up with the calls. Now, we have already launched 2 calls that already closed. The first one in collaboration with NIH, jointly funded, and it is in infectious diseases, and we have granted 1 project in 2014. Another call is jointly funded with Belmont Forum in climate change. And today, forum, we will be also announcing 2 new calls. Both are jointly funded. The first one is called USRA, with the Doha International Family Institute. The other one is Path Toward Personalized Medicine in collaboration jointly funded with Qatar Genome Project. The other type of program, which is investigator-driven, it is a bottom-up kind of application. We have already 1 program that is quite known, the National Priority Research Program, and today, inshallah, we will be announcing the 9th cycle. In additional programs that is also available, we got the exceptional proposal and another one which is Junior Scientist Research Experience Program. Process of submission and evaluation, in general, it applies for all types of program within the competitive research funding grants. The applicant required to register and they submit the proposal online through our Q grant. And then a proposal is not only considered officially submitted unless it's vetted by the research office inside Qatar. Now, the QNRF goes and screen those proposals, and in case of the call, we also make sure that these proposals is in alignment to the defined areas within each call. The proposal that passed the screening will then undergo a 2-tier evaluation process. The first stage of the evaluation is peer reviewing, which is scientific review. Minimum, we send it to international 3 peer reviewers for evaluation against the defined criteria within the call or the RFP. Now, those projects, once they are evaluated, they will undergo a second stage, which we call it programmatic evaluation. This stage is made of several steps. The initial step, which we call a shortlisting. The shortlisting itself, we have already established a procedure, and it is available for you to access in our website. It selects those projects that are scientifically meritorious based on the peer reviewing, and it differs from one program to the other. Now, the programmatic evaluation will entail the evaluation from a scientific team inside QNRF, in addition to relevant stakeholder inside Qatar. In addition, there will be an IP assessment and ethical compliance assessment if it's applicable. Now, the panel will meet to discuss the evaluation of that project. They will be looking at the quality of the collaboration. They will also be looking at the qualification and the performance of the team, especially if they have got previous grants from QNRF. They will also look at the alignment to Qatar National Research Strategy goals and objectives, in addition to the potential impact on Qatar, whether inside societal, environmental, or economic impact. Now, the panel will give their funding recommendation, which will be reviewed by QNRF Directors Committee for initial approval before it goes for the R&D for a final funding decision. And today we will be announcing the awards. Before we go and announce the OSRA call, I just wanted to highlight what is expected or what will be happening for those projects that will be awarded. So lead PI or the applicant can start once I'm done with the announcement, accessing the evaluation and the panel summary from their account. Within a week or two, we will, our project will be subject to review of their budget, and there might be budget reduction. So hopefully within a week or so, we will be communicating with you the allocated budget for each grant. Within that communication, we will be sending it to both the applicants and also the research offices, informing them about the activation of the pre-funding channel and what is the required next steps for them. Now, with regards to the first announcement of the OSRA call, as I have mentioned, it's jointly funded with the Doha Institute, International Family Institute. The objective of the call is to encourage research projects that aim at developing knowledge base in the Arab family, focusing on 4 research areas in the Arab world: the marriage and parenting, in addition to family laws and practices, and family work balance. Now, the OSRA grant is slightly different from the MPRP. They have special conditions. It's up to 1 year. They can get up to $50,000 US, and it's also open for the Arab researchers to apply without the collaboration with the Qatari researchers, as I have mentioned earlier. And for those grants that will include Arab researchers, they will be funded by DFI. Now, just to give you some overview about the statistics of the submitted projects within the OSRA, we have received 16 proposals. The ones that have passed the screening are 13, and 7 of them have been shortlisted to undergo the programmatic evaluations. These donut charts show you the distribution of the submitted proposals, the one that passed screening. The bigger donut is showing you how many proposals have been passed screening within the 4 areas that have been identified. As you can see, the majority of the proposals goes to parenting, followed by both marriage and family work balance, and the smaller number goes to family laws and practices. The smaller donut is for the project that have been selected for shortlisting, which underwent the programmatic evaluation. Now, 62% of the submitted proposals are coming from Arab researchers, and the smaller percentage goes to Qatar, representing 38%. Now, what is the outcome of the OSRA? The total awarded project for OSRA is going to be 5 projects, representing 38% success rate. And you can see here that 43% goes to parenting. The 29% will be going to the family practices and laws. 14% will be going to family work and marriage. Now, how many projects will be awarded by QNRF and coming from local researchers inside Qatar? There are going to be 2. And 3 of the projects is coming from researchers from the Arab countries. Now, I will walk you through the awarded submitting institutions. I will not have the time to actually read the titles of the awarded projects, but hopefully once the presentation is done, you can access this information from the live stream and in our website. The awarded project is sorted out alphabetically based. They have submitted 1 proposal and they got that awarded. Congratulations. The second awarded project goes to Sidra, and they have also submitted 1 project and they got that project awarded. Congratulations, Sidra. Now, for the project coming in from other Arab countries, we've got one project coming in from Morocco. It's from Qadi Ayad University. They have been awarded one grant. Congratulations. The other grant goes into Oman, Sultan Qaboos University. They also got one project awarded. Congratulations. The last grant goes to Lebanon, American University of Beirut, with one grant being awarded. Congratulations. Lebanese are here more than Qatar. The second award announcement goes to another new call. It's Pathward Personalized Medicine. It's jointly funded with the Qatar Genome Project. The aim of this, the overarching goal of this call is to actually support and advance research that aims to provide tailor-made healthcare of patients based on their genetic profile. And the aim of this call is, as it's mentioned, Pathward Personalized Medicine, is to benefit from the pilot phase in the Qatar Genome Project and to train the next generation of young scientists on omics technologies. The grant itself allows the applicant to get up to $500,000 per year for up to 2 years. And similar to the MPRP, only lead PIs from inside Qatar are allowed to apply for the MPRP. However, international collaboration is encouraged with the similar restriction as if, within the MPRP, having not more than 35% of the budget going outside. Now, the call itself focuses on 3 areas. The first call, as I have mentioned, it's conducting a follow-up studies on the pilot phase project of the Qatar Genome. The second area is building an epidemiological database to help us define priority diseases inside Qatar, and hopefully in the next call we'll be able to target those areas that are of critical interest. The third area is personalized genome interpretation. Now, this also gives you just an overview about the submission within the PPM. We were actually happy to receive 33 proposals. 26 of them were identified to be aligned to the 3 areas and have passed the screening. 13 of these projects have been shortlisted to undergo the programmatic evaluation. Again, this chart shows you the distribution of the submitted projects around the 3 areas. As you can see here, the majority of the submitted project, representing 54%, goes to the first area, which is a follow-up study, followed by epidemiological database, and then followed by the area of the genomic interpretation. What is the outcome of the MPRP first cycle? We have also recommended 5 projects to be awarded, representing 19% success rate, 60%, or 3 projects of these awarded project goes to the follow-up study. 2 projects will be going to epidemiological database establishment. Again, this is just a list of the awarded submitting institutions inside Qatar, sorted out alphabetically. The first awarded project goes to Hamad Medical Corporation. They have submitted 4 projects. 1 has been awarded. Congratulations. These 3 projects have been awarded for Sidra, where they have submitted 8 proposals, representing 37% success rate. Congratulations. The last awarded project goes to Well Cornell. They have submitted 7 proposals, representing a success rate of 14%. Congratulations. Now going to the, I believe, the closeout of the session, MPRP 9 cycle. Before I go into give you some information about the submission, I just wanted to highlight the major changes that have been implemented in the 9 cycle, which can explain the decrease in the number of submissions. Last year we had a strategic decision based on the budget reduction in which we had to reduce the number of applications. The major changes that were applied, lead PIs inside Qatar are only allowed to apply, however, international collaboration still exists. Key investigator roles, it used to be 6 roles, now it became 4